Every night I'm lying in bed thinking about recalled comics.
That's going to be our theme song. Thank you for starting out our new segment where we're going to try and keep our comic book community up to date on error print / recalled / uber rare. I just said uber comics.
Oh my God, it's crazy. These recalled comics. Oh my gosh. I cannot tell you how many times someone has come in and is like, hey, I've got this comic and it's super rare. And I'm flipping through it and it's like, no, this is not the error. They're like, how do you know? I'm like, because I've dealt with this before. I had a customer come in a while ago and he brought me the Elektra recalled comic and he was super stoked. He's like, oh, this is the one where she's naked and it's worth a whole lot of money. Yeah. And I flipped to the page and I'm like, that's her bra strap. She's not naked. This is the reprint of it. This is not the recalled one. And he was kind of pissed at me. And I'm like, no, I'm really
fault,
sorry.
Russ. It's your fault.
It's my fault that
you
he didn't
changed
have...
it on him.
Discerning what these are, some of these error recalled comics, some are easy to tell. Some you can see the color is wrong, the interior wrong. Sometimes you're looking at one single line that is the only thing that's changed.
Right.
Yeah, these recalled comics, these comics that had to bring back, we're going to try and help you how to figure out what you have and if you have it.
So we're going to do some research, but there is one website that I like kind of overall for their information. I've been using it for a really long time. And this is recalledcomics.com. They keep track of things like census data, sale data, as well as like up to date. This is a new comic book that was just recalled by Diamond.
You know how you can get lost in the black hole of YouTube, one video to the next video to the next video? Recalledcomics.com is the website that I get lost in, where I click a link to click a link to click a link, and all of a sudden I've looked at 75 comics that I probably sold in my quarter bin because I missed the fact that this word is misspelled and the S is backwards.
So this is, because these are a bunch of really rare comics, they don't come up very often. This list that's kind of updated every month doesn't see a whole lot of movement. So we're going to try to keep you up to date for really what makes sense to cover. But this list is updated as of August, and let's dive into it with number 10.
Coming in at number 10, Avengers vs. Infinity #1 Lin variant. This is a 1 in 25 variant. And just a quick rundown. The way we're doing this is by price of sale. So there's actually a tie between number 10 and number 9. But this one was really interesting because the last page of the fourth and final story, Night of the Living Dead, was incomplete. So we got a recall notice from Diamond Comics that we needed to destroy and or return these comics. And we have to destroy and return them. That means print run goes down.
And there's only 8 total graded comics of this book on the CGC census.
Check out the copies you have at home. Try and make that 9.
Going for $200 at 9.8. Wow. Ooh. Sharing the 9/10 slot for a 9.8 $200 sale is Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Number 7. Now, do you know why this one's on the list?
Yeah, it was something in Scooby-Doo. It was an ad that was not age appropriate for most Scooby-Doo readers.
Right, the age limit. Because it was a V for Vendetta ad for like this omnibus oversized book.
That's super cool. Alan Moore writing something in a Scooby-Doo book. And this is kind of reminiscent. It's not exactly the same thing. You're probably not going to see this on the list, but there is an Adventure Time recall where there is a knock-knock joke. Hey, Tom.
That's right.
Knock-knock.
Who's there?
I eat mop.
I eat my poo. Oh, I eat my poo.
See? That's not something that was age
pretty
appropriate for a children's comic. And we had to recall an Adventure Time comic book. I haven't seen a consensus of that anywhere, but I know that there weren't that many comics that came out because a lot of them had to be destroyed because of a lewd knock-knock joke.
Well, this is V for Vendetta, not appropriate for kids. I don't think there's many. Does Alan Moore do any kids' books?
Probably.
Ooh, maybe he does. If you know, put in answers in the comment section below. But there's only a total of 7 of these graded on the CGC census.
Wow, that's pretty good.
All right. Moving on to number 8 on the list, Action Comics 869.
Now, this is one of those that, you got Clark and his stepdad hanging out on the...
They're having a moment.
They're drinking a beer.
Come on.
Why is it such a big deal that we got to turn it into a sody pop?
It was a beer.
Yeah. It said beer on the cover of an Action Comics. And I get it, and we don't want to promote underage drinking, but Clark Kent is very clearly old, as is his father.
Can Clark even get drunk?
Only if there's kryptonite in the beer.
So, like, This is silly, but it was recalled. And there's only 257 of these on the CGC census.
I believe that the print run of this is much higher than most people expect. I don't think that many people returned them. There just haven't been that many graded. This book is artificially inflated, and I think that while it is cool and it is a recall, the fact that you see so many on the census, whereas some of these previous ones have 8 and 10 things graded, there's more of them out there in the wild, so get searching.
9.8s selling for $250.
Wow, that's a lot of Budweiser.
Number 7 on the list is Witches, issue number 4. A low CGC count of 64, selling for $275.
This book was released when the cover said issue number 3, and it was actually issue number 4.
This is like a demon era print.
Right, this is one of those where it's supposed to be number 4, but it actually says number 2, and it's supposed to be the number is
And people are like, I don't know what to get, so I'm just not going to buy it. Shoot, call the publisher, get this recalled.
Well, and it was already a Canadian variant anyway, and a lot of times when you have Canadian variants, you'll have something that's $250 in the US, $295 in Canada, or whatever the price difference is. So you know if they're producing it for Canadian market, there's going to be differences anyway, but you shouldn't mess up the number.
Right. Something interesting about this cover is that the original art sold in 2016 for a little over $600. And it came with the error print copy.
That's a heck of a bonus. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty interesting,
It's
right?
icing on the cake, absolutely.
Now, number 6. This one's right here. Spoiler alert. This is a major error that everyone needs to know about because it's one of the most sought after error prints.
I was hardly aware of this book, let alone of this error. Tom had to pull up on his phone and show me the cover, and I'm looking at it going, never seen that book before in my life. I've handled over 1 million comics. That's not a low estimate. I do not recall seeing this cover.
Alex Ross.
Ever. I know Alex Ross is gorgeous stuff, and it's a great painted cover. I've never touched this comic ever.
Universe X Spidey. This is going for $275 at 9.8. Now, this is a recalled comic, only 91 on the CGC census. Now, this is a recalled comic because of slander.
So, Al Milgrom decided to put some comments on the spines of books on a bookshelf talking about comics editor from Marvel, Bob Harras, leaving, and they were less than flattering.
On page 28, panel 3, if you look closely on this, because there are images of this that exist, and I'm going to show it to you right now, it reads as followed.
Harris, haha, he's gone. Good riddance to bad rubbish. He was a nasty SOB.
When you turn it sideways, you can read that, and it did not make Marvel happy.
You know what? If you sneak in a last name, if you sneak in a heart, if you sneak in the priest has a heart on, I mean, there are things that you could probably slip in some places, and it may not get noticed until the general... That's a lot of words on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
Someone's going to catch that.
It's like he was asking for it.
I don't know. Maybe Milgram wanted to get fired, and he did.
And then he was hired back pretty soon after, like weeks later, but that happens.
They had to patch things up eventually.
I mean, we know artists who do that.
I know.
Writers.
We know artists and writers that do this before Jim Starlin, yeah.
Right? Coming in at number 5 is my personal favorite. I've been hunting for this issue for a pretty long time because I'm a huge Alan Moore fan. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, issue number 5, The Douche Error.
I don't even know why we want to call it an error. It was probably just Alan Moore taking a little bit of time and making some fun of Marvel.
Or it was a real product. There's some controversy around this. We don't know if this is a real ad or not. It could be real. It may be fake. There are Marvel products that are very strange, and here's a picture of one that shows the syringe. But there are those who believe that Alan Moore made this up.
I wouldn't put it past Alan Moore to put something like this just because it was a joke, just because he was making fun of someone. I also wouldn't put it past Alan Moore to have known and done enough research to know that it was a real product and just think it was really humorous to put in there. But I think Alan Moore may have actually had the last laugh with this one.
Yeah, I heard about this. Like, what did Alan Moore do?
Okay, so Alan Moore was working with Rob Liefeld on Supreme for quite some time, and he was doing Tom Strong, and he was also doing a comic called Top 10. And in Top 10, he had a character reading a newspaper, and the headline of the newspaper said, "Miracle Douche Recall." So Alan Moore gets the last laugh.
You know he loves Miracle Man.
He does love Miracle Man. Sometimes.
Selling at a staggering $675 at 9.8.
And there's only 105 on the census. And this is a book that I know Tom and I have each been looking for well over a decade. This is one of the most popular recalled comics that a lot of people know about and no one's ever really gotten an opportunity to pick up. So if you can find one, get it.
Unfortunately, the rumor is that they were only shipped overseas. And you're looking for that ad. If the ad's in there, you found it. So best of luck hunting. Moving on to number 4, Elseworlds 80-page giant, Microwaving Babies.
I like Crispy Clark Kent.
I think he would be tasty.
He probably would be tasty. Is it a kryptonite microwave?
It is not. So unfortunately, this makes no sense that it was recalled.
It really doesn't, because quite honestly, if it was the type of thing that we were worried about, I mean, if it was an actual baby, I mean, nothing, don't flame us, but if it was an actual baby crawling into the microwave, it would be a big thing. But it's Clark Kent, and it's trying to make a point, and it's trying to make a story, and it turned out to be a really good story, because why, Tom?
Well, it won an Eisner.
These Eisner Awards are given away to the best stories, and quite honestly, this was a fantastic story, and I think there was just a little bit of hullabaloo that was a little bit bigger than it needed to be, and it happened to get recalled.
And it ended up getting reprinted because they even admitted that they did it a little hastily, probably because it was a freaking banger.
Right.
Now, Census has a low CGC count of 158 total graded, but we have a 9.8 sale, reaching $700.
That's amazing. And remember, since this is an 80-page giant, it's either going to be square bound or just thicker and stapled. And these are going to be really condition sensitive. So getting a 9.8 is really difficult in these books.
And that's why we're seeing that price.
Yep.
Number 3, coming in on a half shell, TMNT. Number 4, second print.
Now, Eastman and Laird had been dealing with so many printing errors. First print, second print, third print. They had a problem where they couldn't get a comic book size and it had to be magazine size. They had a problem where the print was too light, the print was too dark, the pages were bad, the pages didn't turn well. I mean, they had so many prints. They had this hot book on there, and they just had to pulp and throw away things. And insult to injury, they finally get issue number 4. Number 4 is the right size, everything is good, and they have the right interior and the wrong cover.
Yeah, that wasn't their fault. They actually put in, like they sent into the printing press both covers for 2 different books, and they screwed it up. And unfortunately, it wasn't even their fault. Printing press got 2 different comics, swapped the covers. Whoops.
Eastman and Laird have persevered.
They
have
actually said something. What did they say, Russ?
And Eastman and Laird have persevered after issue and issue and issue. This is even something that they said in the Comic Buyer's Guide in 1989, only a couple years after it came out, because at that point in time, not that many people knew that this had happened. What's going on here? The printer made a mistake and put the cover of Tales of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 on the second printing of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 4. Since the misprinted issues had the logo, number, and inside cover features for TMNT4, the entire printing had to be scrapped. Very few copies survived, Laird told CBG, and it's a little known until now collector's item. So even 29 years ago, they knew that this was low print run. There were 60,000 copies made, and less than 1,000 made their ways out into the wild. And who knows how many are left now? How many are on the census now, Tom?
There are only 120 on the census, and recent 9.8 sales hitting $800. Wow.
Check your TMNT4.
Rounding out the list with number 2, Whoa, and number 1, we have the same book, Russ.
We do have the same book, and we've already seen this on the list, but it makes sense why this book is here. So when Universe X Spidey was released, it was actually one of the first look comics, and First Look is an opportunity for retailers to get a copy of the book, a physical copy they can flip through a week before it comes out. They found out that week, so it was recalled quickly, which means a lot didn't make it to the shelves, except for the fact that Dynamic Forces had already done a Dynamic Forces alternate cover and a Dynamic Forces sketch cover, 3,000 print run on the alternate, 1,000 print run on the sketch.
Ooh, and both of those issues are number 2 and 1 on the list. Hitting number 2 with this alternate universe Spider-Man side by side with the classic Spider-Man. Dynamic Force variant. This has a low count of 23 graded comics on the census, selling at 9.8 at a staggering $825. Check your error prints. Because number one, by the way, deservingly so, this is a unique sketch cover. Alex Ross is a painter. So this isn't your traditional pencil sketch.
Right.
This looks like it's probably was done in Sharpie. And it's gorgeous. And it also has a staggeringly low census count of 15. And what price did we see that 9.8 go for?
Coming in at number one, $1,000. There's only 15 on the census, and it's an amazing Alex Ross cover. If you've got this Dynamic Forces, it might be worth grading.
I want to know, do you own any of these Aeroprint comics? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you're down there, what should they do?
You should like, you should subscribe, you should hit that bell to get the notifications, and as always, remember to geek responsibly.
Enough said. If you want to get merch, help support the podcast, you can go to geekstreet101.com.